Hello everybody, how I miss talking with you. Today we'll be looking at my favorite pickups for this year. But let me start by giving you a couple of updates, such as why I haven't posted in a while. Since my last video, not only has the school year started, but the photography school where I teach has challenged me to collaborate and develop some projects with them, and that has taken up a lot of my time. And only now have I kind of entered cruise control, and I think I found a way to manage all of my undertakings. And this takes me to my second update. These past months, particularly when I was preparing my lessons, the ideas for videos kept arising, and I was always making plans for the next video that never came. I wanted to talk about creativity, my research method, my thought process, this and that photo book, but I never managed to make the time for it. As I just said, I now have my priorities set and everything a little bit more organized, and besides the content that I usually produce, I will also be putting out a couple of videos every month starting in January, where I will be simply flipping through my photo books without commentary. With this I intend to show you work that you may not know, particularly Portuguese and contemporary photography, possibly inspire you, hopefully entertain you, but also encourage you to purchase works or books from these artists. As an author myself, I believe it is important to support work that we like, especially if the artists are still alive. I will try to conduct some polls on my Instagram or here on YouTube, so you can help me choose what I showcase on the channel. So, to the juicy stuff. This year I have picked up some very interesting photo books and photography related books, which I would like to share with you. I won't be doing a deep dive on any of these works, or else we would be here all day, but I still wanted to share a little bit about each book and give you a quick showing so you know what they're about. Also, all of these were the ones that I managed to read or at least adequately view, and some of them will be featured on future videos on this channel. So if there's any in particular that you'd like me to push to the front of the queue, let me know in the comments down below. First we have Permissions, the first monograph by British photographer Emma Hardy. I talked about Emma's exhibition in a previous video and how I had to go and buy this book after seeing it. This long-term personal photo project, which stretches over 20 years, is full of tender photographs which are a testament of Emma's feelings and the endeavor to balance home life, motherhood, and her own professional life and creativity. It started with no clear intention other than to document her family as they grew and to capture their life in ways that went beyond the usual family pictures. The perfectly composed photographs with rich, soothing, and heartwarming colors present a beautiful narrative. As the British Journal of Photography put it, it is a book wherein the comings and goings, cycles, rituals, and remnants of life are scooped up, shuffled, and then set free. Harvard graduate Gregory Halpern spent 3 years interviewing and photographing cooks, custodians, and other service workers at the university while working for the Harvard Living Wage Campaign, an organization created to pressure the university to improve the standard of living of its workers. Harvard Works Because We Do makes a strong point for social justice, and the first-person narratives from the employees about their lives and work are enlightening reminders of the inequalities that exist in the United States, which are particularly accentuated in the Ivy League environment. These photographs, taken at home and in the workplace, are emotional, direct, and honest, and show the conflicts of the Harvard working class in their fight for a dignified living wage in a society that, at the very least, side-eyes workers' movements and struggles. In a year where the US lived a hot labor summer, Harvard Works Because We Do is as important now as it was 20 years ago when it was first published. Mike Brody, also known as the Polaroid Kid, has freight hopped across the US and photographed the people he encountered along the way. These photographs resulted in 3 superb works, a period of juvenile prosperity shot in 35mm, and the 2 books I'm going to show you today, Tones of Dirt and Bone and Polaroid Kid, shot with a Polaroid camera. Tones of Dirt and Bone features 50 images made between 2004 and 2006, and a short essay Brody wrote in 2006 about found objects and nostalgia, which perfectly pairs with the soft, muted, washed-up hue characteristic of old Polaroid pictures. And his recently released box set, Polaroid Kit, is comprised of 50 facsimile Polaroids in a silk-screened grey board case, fastened by a heavy gauze elastic band, which reminds us of the roughness of train hoppers and punks. The documentation of his journey riding the rails of North America alongside the tight-knit community of young punks and drifters is a beautiful ode to, as Brody describes, his natural sense of wonder and the curiosity to explore the world. Livia Abriles on Abortion is the first chapter of her long-term research project, A History of Misogyny. In this book, which also exists as an exhibition, Livia documents and conceptualizes the dangers and damages caused by women's lack of legal, safe, and free access to abortion, and highlights the long continuous erosion of women's reproductive rights through to the present day. Livia does this by placing side by side photos of different contraception methods, abortion instruments, many of which were used in clandestine circumstances, testimonies and portraits of women who chose to have an abortion, maps of their journeys, and photographs of the clothes they wore. Livia's work raises a series of questions about ethics and morality and exposes a series of social triggers, stigmas, and taboos around abortion that have long remained invisible. I got to know Filipe Romero Beltran's work, more specifically Dialect, at the exhibition he had at Porto's gallery Salut au Monde. I visited the exhibition about 3 times, bought a print, and as soon as his book was in pre-order, I placed mine. Dialect explores the daily life and the expectations of a group of young immigrants in Seville who cross the maritime border between Morocco and Spain, avoiding border controls. It's impressive how Philippe's photos, which talk about a serious and brutal issue, are so subtle, sensitive, and compassionate. They truly allow us to connect with the persons who face the legal limbo of being an irregular immigrant in the modern EU. Philippe's delicate photos are tastefully composed and their color palette is elegant and well thought. Alexandra Sanguinetti's On the Sixth Day, first published in 2005 by Nazraeli and for a long time unavailable and out of print, has been republished this year by Mac Books in a new and expanded edition. Alessandra's photos, often photographed close to the earth, offer us a glimpse of life on a small Argentine farm from the perspective of its animals, from life to death. As Alexandra has made us used to in her color work, the photographs are rich and powerful, and they pop out of the page, making us feel as if we are there, with her, in her vantage point, looking at her subjects. In this way, she invites us to see the animals as individuals in their own right. As Alexandra said, it was about paying attention to everyday animals and the relationships they have with each other. I was imagining myself in their place, looking at them as if I was one of them. I'm so happy I finally got myself involved, so to speak, in the world of Stephen Shore. I bought and read The Nature of Photographs and Modern Instances, which I recommend everyone does. And I also got my hands on Aperture's second edition of Uncommon Places: The Complete Works, printed in 2015. What I'm about to say won't be a surprise to most of you, as this book is a contemporary classic and a true landmark of American visual history. But Uncommon Places is a nod to color photography and the mundane. Now, for this newly produced reissue, the artist has added about 20 images to the more than 150 images of the 2005 edition, and a statement explaining what it means to expand a classic series. Looking at these images while knowing how Shore thinks about photography is truly amazing. It's as if you can imagine him composing each shot for 10, 15, or 20 minutes at a time, thinking very purposefully about the composition and how we, the viewers, would read these images. Andreas Garki was an acquired taste for me, but as soon as he entered my visual palette, I've wanted to see his photos printed on paper. This book, Andreas Garki Visual Spaces of Today, is the catalogue of the first large-scale anthology in Italy of the artist's work, covering more than 4 decades. Garski's powerful images make us question how we see and understand the development of the world, of work, the economy and globalization, by showcasing production plants, goods handling centers, temples of consumption, transport hubs, energy and food industries and financial centers across the world. Urs Stahel, the exhibition's curator, said, "To this day, Andreas Garski's enormous visual power is such that entering into the universe of his images becomes each time an experience and a step towards awareness. The display of his photographs brings us into a space and time where we can physically, mentally, and emotionally feel and grasp reality." Joel Meitz, another photographer that, even though I already appreciated, I truly got myself deep into his work this year. I was lucky enough to catch an exhibition of his in Madrid's Leica Gallery. After seeing his photos for the first time in person, I told myself I would not end the year without getting my hands in one of his books that I like the most. Meitz went to Cape Cod, Massachusetts with a large format camera seeking a different kind of photography to the type he usually made with his Leica in New York. The result, Cape Light, first published in 1978, was republished by Aperture Foundation in 2015. The photos presented in this book show you a slower and very intentional way of working, which perfectly captures the light and colors and all the detail of those everyday scenes, transforming the ordinary into romantic, serene, contemplative landscapes which hold a timeless quality. Documents is a great pickup for anyone, photography lover or not. This is a collection of articles, essays and documents from 1967 to the present day about Diane Arbus and how her work has been received and understood, from those who classified her work as sinister and disturbing to those who recognized the sincere, intimate and compassionate qualities of her photography and approach. This book is a great way to follow the evolution of art criticism and an important resource for photographers, historians, teachers, and students alike. Just like Filipe Romero Beltran, I got to know Juan Baraja's work through an exhibition at Salou Monde, and, as always, it didn't disappoint us. The exhibition was of his work depicting the current state of the housing project Corviale, developed in the 1970s in Rome. His photos mesmerized me, and I was lucky enough to find Against All That Glitters, Time's Effects, the catalogue of the exhibition that showcased the major photographic series that Juan Baraja has carried out over the past 10 years. These include his Corviale photos and, to my pleasant surprise, a series on a project, Parnaso Águas Livres, developed in my city, Porto, which is a 5-minute walk from where I live. Comprised of 10 different series accompanied by 9 texts, Baraja's images are architectural photography at its best and how I most appreciate it, reflecting on the history, design and planning of projects with a view on the problematics of industry, rural life, urbanization and social sustainability. As we can read in the book's synopsis, Baraja approaches the tensions and difficulties that arise between a timeless ideal and the effects of time. País Imaginário is a photographic series from Portuguese photographer Denise Shen that began in 2017 and focuses on a type of contemporary vernacular Portuguese architecture. I was completely convinced the first time I saw his pictures about a year ago, and was delighted when I knew he was publishing a book with his material. Even though I never met him, when I see his pictures I feel as if I'm talking with him about Portugal, how we look at it and what it means to be Portuguese and have a sense of belonging to a territory. I feel a certain affinity with his work, as the theme of his book is also a subject of interest and study in my own work. And this idea of belonging to a certain place, a Portuguese place, was the prime motivation for the development of my first big photo project, A Furada Linda. His photos are beautiful, honest, and authentic, and make us feel as if we're driving through Portuguese national roads on our way to visit someone we know, somewhere we belong. What more can be said about the work of this Italian master that hasn't already been said? If you saw my video from when I went to visit Giri's first exhibition in Lisbon, you already know I absolutely love his work. He's a complete photographer who meticulously thinks about everything he does and whose entire life work is a continuous project. So, Colazione sull'erba is just another piece in this big puzzle. And what a piece it is. Here he focuses on the relation of nature and artifice in the man-made environment. On one hand, we have the geometric precision of architectural facades, and on the other hand, the organic presence of trees, bushes, or lawns. Giri is not ironic nor critical. He only seeks to establish a unifying entity within all the fragmentation of architecture and decorative details, always seeking to understand what he's photographing. Finally, a quick mention to the release of the English edition of Danielle Boll's delicious masterpiece Lisboa Cliché, a book that recalls a version of Lisbon that has partly disappeared. The Lisbon of cheap taverns, historical cinemas, the nightlife in Bairro Alto, the freedom of Frágil, of Portuguese rock bands, of urban reconstructions that surgically preserved only the facades of buildings, and of successful and failed chance meetings in the era of phone booths. Danielle Boll's book of prose and pictures reads as a poem. And here we are, at the end of the video and the year. But before I let you go, let me just remind you that if you're planning on coming to Porto, you can find Dianita Singh's exhibition in Serralves in the Museum of Modern Art until the 3rd of March of 2024, and be on the lookout for the already announced exhibition to be held in Meitz in Lisbon of William Klein, curated by David Campani. I want to finish by thanking all of you who watched my videos, supported my work, and will continue to do so in 2024. Don't forget to like, subscribe, but most importantly, don't forget to tell me what you'd like to see in this channel in the upcoming year. If there's any topic, photographer or photo book which you'd like me to do a deep dive or show you, tell me so. Once again, thank you, it has been a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next video next year.